West Virginia Metro News, I'm Jeff Jenkins. First, Mom Power, now Dominion Energy, with plans to build a natural gas-powered power plant in West Virginia. Dominion's plans are for the plant to be beside the utility's coal-fired plant.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Welcome into a Wednesday. We have a much quieter forecast for a few days here. But some subtle things to be mindful of. Low clouds and that valley fog may still drop visibility and impact your morning drive. We have much lower humidity with the northwest breeze, and some of the higher elevation spots, northwest breeze interacting with some of the mountainous terrain. There is technically for the next 2 days some isolated shower or some brief general thunderstorm potential that is possible. Again, locally there with a northwest wind flow setup will be favored, much more likely for showers around Sunday. So until then, high pressure, and a lot of us to most of us will be dry here for some consecutive days. Fly Saver forecast, it starts at home. New York City, high of 79. Areas, including potentially New York City yet, and other areas of the Northeast and New England, watching for some higher risks of flash flooding out there with some slow-moving thunderstorms to the northeast. Our weather, we have mostly high pressure and a quieter pattern. To the north, likely dry, morning fog, then a mix of sun and clouds, highs up mid-70s to low 80s, overnight in the 50s with some patchy fog, a light to moderate northwest breeze, and a low chance of a brief isolated shower. Eastern Panhandle, highs near 80 or so. Again, some of the higher terrain, can't rule out a chance of a light to moderate shower and a brief isolated thunderstorm for the next 2 days. Lows 50s and 60s tonight. Across our northern and central areas, again with that northwest wind flow setup, higher terrain spots, low chance of a shower or a brief weak thunderstorm for the next 2 days. For our southern areas, likely dry here except for some of the higher terrain spots. To the west, Huntington, you had your flash flood warning yesterday. Today, sunny. High of 83. Charleston and Morgantown for the next 7 days. Saturday night and Sunday were likely showers and storms here. Dry for the most part until then.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
Hey, I take offense of that.
Why would you do that?
Because on midday, the last segment, the first thing I hear when those mics go on is you just coughing, and I'm just like, this guy.
You don't appreciate me giving that show a little ratings boost at the end, a little boom boom?
You coughing directly onto these microphones? No, I don't want it.
I don't know where this came from.
Everybody.
I'm in another room, guys. I don't know.
Everybody.
Hey, Coop,
I'm just watching this.
Hotline on Metro News Television.
Text coming up about 10 minutes from now, 304-TALK 304. That's the text line, 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. The phone number, FirstEnergy's Chris Beam going to join us coming up top of the hour. One of the criticisms of the public school system that we often hear is that central offices are bloated and too much of the critical funding is being directed to the central office and not to the classroom. Is that, in fact, the case? To put some data next to those assertions, please welcome to the program from the State Department of Education School Financial Operations Officer Uriah Cummings, who joins us in the Encova Insurance Studios in Charleston. Good morning, Uriah.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you all, as always.
How often have you heard that when you're out and about, that central offices are too big, too bloated, and too much money is headed that direction?
It seems like every year. I remember whenever I first came into my current role about 3 or 4 years ago, that was a big topic of discussion, especially with the legislature. And the legislature at the time was looking at potentially legislation that could be passed to control some of that. And the thought process from the Department of Education was, well, we don't have really a problem there from our perspective. And when you dive into the data, I think it starts to you can start to see that there isn't this overinflation in which the narrative is currently being spread that's the case. And then as recently as just a couple weeks ago, we saw the Gazette article from the individual who had posted all of the superintendent salaries at the time, and then the outcry on social media and others that came from that, saying, well, this is the problem, this is the problem. And I think if you start to think about it logically, I think some of that data still continues to make sense in comparison to national averages and things of that nature whenever we start to look at some of the actual salary data as well as in comparison to total expenditure data.
So let's get into the actual central office head counts. You say that the data tell a story. What story is the data telling?
Yeah, so ultimately, we have that data collection. We have an October 1st certification process to where the counties are certifying every position in the county, full-time employee. The data shows that 765 right now statewide central office administrators are employed within the county boards of education.
So that's over all 55 counties?
Over 55 counties. That's in comparison to over, I think, 30,000 total employees whenever you include service personnel. And in comparison to over 23,000 professional employees. So such a small percentage of total employees across the state. About 2% are central office administrators. So again, just small percentages, small dollars. Back to the dollar amount, total administrative salaries and benefits make up 2.5% of the total expenditures of county boards of education. We're talking $300 million budget in Berkeley County as low as $20 million budget in Gilmer County, and the flux is not that different across the board in terms of what that makeup of the percentage of administrator salaries is there.
We're talking to Uriah Cummings, the State Department of Education School Financial Operations Officer. You mentioned seeing those salaries published, Uriah, and the criticism goes, you see a superintendent making, let's just throw in $200,000, whatever the case may be, just a number I'm throwing out there. The criticism is, well, you could take that and hire 4 teachers from that. Is that an apples to apples comparison?
No, it's not. At the end of the day, I would like to look at it just from let's look at it from a private corporation type atmosphere. And actually, whenever I'd seen a social media article on this, I wanted to be that person to be a social media warrior and kind of go to war for these counties, right? Because sometimes it frustrates you to that point. But I went on Copilot and I typed in how much does the CEO of a $50 million corporation make? And that number spits back between $250,000 to $500,000 if you type in that prompt. That's what these superintendents are overseeing. They're the CEOs of on average statewide $50 million corporation. Again, as high as a $300 million budget in Berkeley County. And how do you compete? At that point in time, logically, again, the makeup of a private corporation, you have the heads of that corporation, in which they're responsible for so much. They oversee the risk. They oversee, again, the education of children in the state of West Virginia, which it should be the most influential deed that anybody could ever do at that point in time is again, you're entrusted with children. So I think that in itself is justification for the salaries that these folks.
Well, benchmarking is a wonderful. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry. Were you going to say?
No,
my bad.
no.
Sorry. Benchmarking is a wonderful thing because it either proves the case or it doesn't, again, with data. Here's what I would say about some of these numbers. First off, you're absolutely right. Someone running a $300 million company would be making much more than the Berkeley County Schools superintendent currently does. If you do not pay these people something that is worthy of their skill set, and let's really talk about what you need here, because you said something that I think is so true. You said that they are CEOs of their organizations, and they really are. So you need not only subject matter expertise in education, you need to be able to look at a balance sheet, look at a budget, tell me what is going on and make financial decisions. You need HR acumen because you're constantly hiring and firing and putting people into place. You need a vision, leadership skills. Again, it's much, much more that is required here. And I dare say that if someone like a Berkeley County Schools superintendent took their skill set into the private sector or to another state as a county superintendent, they'd make a lot more money.
Absolutely. And I'll add one more, stakeholders. Think of the stakeholders that exist within a county Board of Education, your stakeholders are the public, right? The citizens of your county that you have to answer to. So the politics of it all, like that's the problem with these positions as well, is we struggle to get folks willing to even come into the positions because of the politics and everything that you just mentioned, the long list of duties that come with taking on that responsibility. I'll add a couple other data points to this. We've had a decrease of central office administrators between 25 and 26, fiscal year 25 and 26, of 26 positions statewide across 18 counties. But not only that, we have 18, I counted them up this morning, who have stayed flat over that period of time, 10 of which, in my opinion, are at a cap, right? There comes a time where you reach a point where you have to have a superintendent, you have to have a CSBO. Those are two positions. You can't go below 2, and we have 2 counties in the state that have 4.5 positions in central office administration. So that means that leaves 2.5 positions to spread out all the other work. Child nutrition, overseeing child nutrition, transportation, maintenance, instruction. That is a ton on 2.5 individuals at that point in time to oversee. And that just, again, funnels down to the education of our children at that point in time. There has to be this level of administration, just like the pipeline of a corporation, to make sure everything falls in line.
Talking to Uriah Cummings, State Department of Education School Financial Operations Officer. You touched on the answer to my next question. What are the types of roles and jobs that these central office staff are fulfilling in 2026?
Yeah, so again, we think about some of the main things that we need our children to be able to be comfortable and safe in a school setting, transporting them safely to school, making sure that our buildings are safe and secure. Again, making sure that the instruction that they're receiving is worthy of being able to advance them in life. Those are 3. Making sure that they're able to receive a healthy meal during the day, when some of these children, it's the only healthy meal that they actually receive during the day. After they go home, they don't get that same benefit. So I just named off 4 in itself. And again, we have the fiscal oversight as well as this overall CEO of the corporation as well. You could quickly get to a bare minimum of 6 or 7 positions there that you would absolutely need to have to be able to operate. And then again, as your enrollment size increases, that just advances the number of personnel that need to be in those positions.
Some of the central office positions, are they necessary because of federal requirements? So if you're going to take federal dollars or participate in a federal program, you have to have certain oversight and certain reporting, so it makes a position necessary?
Yeah, necessary is the right word. It's not required, but it is necessary to be able to have such subject matter experts that are overseeing that process, because that's a fantastic point, because if there is not that subject matter expert there, again, documentation matters, being able to report back to the federal government, being able to spend in accordance with scope of grant awards, that takes subject matter experts. It can't just be somebody who has multiple hats in the ring or hands in the fire trying to oversee all these different areas, because things get lost, and that's when fiscal penalties occur and counties start to lose money because, again, there's not that proper oversight of resources there at that time.
Talking to Uriah Cummings, State Department of Education. Uriah, I'm not certain how to pose this next question, so just bear with me here. When we were talking about private business, Dave and TJ's Adirondack chair business, which we got to get going there, TJ, by the way.
Yeah, man.
You can measure our results by the number of chairs we sell, the number of units. If we are doing poorly, we won't sell as many chairs. If we're doing great, we're going to sell more chairs. How do we hold the leaders of our education system, superintendents, assistants, the staff, how do we hold them accountable when the measurables, they're a little bit abstract? Because student achievement is a measurable, obviously, but also there's a lot of factors that go into student achievement. So how do we hold them accountable?
It's a tough question. And like you just said, achievement is a measure, right? But there are so many measures that exist, and just making sure, again, that a child receives a meal in a given day, making sure that children are being cared for, that teachers are put into positions to, again, make sure that children are cared for. I use this as an example at the SAIL conference yesterday that I had the pleasure of speaking at here in Charleston. But we bear responsibility, no matter what role we have in education, to 230,000 plus children in the state of West Virginia. That's never something that I'm going to take lightly, and will always be grateful for the opportunity for. And I believe that if you go across the 55 county boards of education, they'll say the exact same. There's a tremendous amount of duty there. It's a responsibility, but it's a responsibility that everybody is willing to take on because it matters. And again, that in itself is a variable that can never be measured at the end of the day. Sure, we can absolutely have achievement numbers in place. That is a measurement. But yeah, these outstanding factors that are unmeasurable, I think, outweigh, at least from my perspective as a non-educator, sometimes more than the actual measurables.
Let me drill deeper here, and this is going to be more of a statement. And Dave, you can evaluate me as well here on this. I get this question. I get the comparison. When we bring up comparing to the private sector, we're going to get certain responses. I think here's one of the differences. If I am a president of this Adirondack company that we've just started here, that's massively successful, by the way, congratulations to us. Dave, you and I can decide to enter a market based on the variables of that market. If we're Walmart, we can put a Walmart in location A, but if location B doesn't have our preferred demographics, we don't have to. We don't have to. Where this becomes different, Uriah, you're obligated by law in the Constitution to service the children of the state of West Virginia. That means you're going to get a lot of undesirable variables, just given the socioeconomic challenges that we face. So you can agree or disagree with me. I'll carry a little water for you on this one. I don't think the private versus public comparison here that we're getting on the text line, I don't know that holds because of what you're challenged to do.
Agreed. Yeah. On the private sector, you're tasked with making money, right? At the end of the day, that's your variable, or output, the expected output on the public side of things, and as it pertains to educating children, the output is making sure that children are successful. So it's versus a monetary situation versus an outcome-based solution, and that's a fantastic point. There are no choices in this, and I guarantee every single one of them say it's a duty. It's not a choice anyway. But yes, I will agree with you. You can carry the water, but I'll jump on board as well.
Uriah Cummings, State Department of Education School Financial Operations Officer. We'll leave the conversation right here, at least for now. Uriah, we appreciate you stopping by, and thanks for not invoking the Fifth Amendment while you're here.
Pleasure as always. Thank you.
They got it. Back in a moment. This is Talkline from the Encove Insurance Studios.
Living with advanced heart failure can feel overwhelming, but you don't have to face it alone. At WVU Medicine, we believe your heart deserves world-class care, close to home and always within reach. Our specialists offer advanced treatments like heart transplants, mechanical circulatory support, and device therapies to help you manage your condition. For more information, visit wvumedicine.org/heart.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
They had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then before I entered into congestive heart failure.
We really had to go towards an LVAD. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
At Daniel's Men's Store, exceptional style begins with a curated selection and finishes with a flawless fit. When it's time to buy a suit, Daniel's is here to make sure yours is one of a kind. Discover tailored suits you'll only find in-store at Daniel's.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Jackpots are growing in West Virginia. Jackpots are on the rise every week. Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Powerball jackpot is $663 million. The Mega Millions is $50 million. So go ahead, play today. Did you see somebody in Florida hit that $800 million jackpot last night?
Wasn't you? You'd be in a mountain somewhere in Tucker County.
You know the drill.
Did I get it right?
Yeah,
Is it Tucker County?
Be in Tucker County. You'll never hear from me again, ever. Much to the pleasure, I'm sure, of some of you.
You wouldn't call in and say, guys, it's been great. Adios.
Listen, just standard operating procedure here. The day after one of these huge drawings, if you don't hear from me that morning, just assume I'm up in, I'm off the grid at that point.
Okay.
Never hear from me.
That's fine. I wouldn't tell a soul. I don't think I'd do much different, honestly. I don't think I'd do. I don't think I would.
Would you take the lump sum?
Oh, absolutely.
I know you. Yeah. You would take that and start investing it.
Yeah.
Index funds or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But honestly, I mean, because here's the thing. If someone knows that you've won that kind of money, and I believe in this state you're not required to disclose your identity. In others, I think you are. If someone knows you have that kind dude, imagine the people coming out of the woodwork.
Oh,
Look, why would you be a Jack Whitaker? I mean, no, I wouldn't tell a soul.
There would be signs. There would be signs.
Yeah, but look, I don't know that there would be obvious signs. I mean, do a little something nice, but I mean, I'm not going to go buy like a McMansion or something for $30 million.
It'd be a small ranch,
A small ranch.
1,200 acres or so.
You going to go buy South Fork down in Texas, the old Dallas ranch?
My wife wants some of those, she calls them fluffy cows. What are they, Highland cows?
Fluffy cows.
Yeah, they got the mullet going on.
I don't know that I do. I'll have to look them up.
Look them up. She wants some fluffy cows.
Okay.
As pets, by the way.
Well, I wish you all the luck in the world. I mean, I hope it happens. I do. I genuinely hope it happens for you if that'll make you happy.
All right. Well, we were going to get to some text, but we will do that in a moment. This is Talkline on Metro News. Back after this.
West Virginia's grid is old, overloaded, and falling behind. That means fewer jobs, less investment, and a future we can't afford to risk. Marl is the fix. A modern transmission line that strengthens reliability, attracts manufacturing, and puts West Virginians to work. Investment here, jobs here, a more reliable, stronger grid right here. Learn more at powerwvnow.org. Paid for by West Virginians for reliable and affordable energy.
They say you can't take the lottery with you. But now, you can play anywhere, anytime with iPlay, the West Virginia Lottery's official app. From Cooper's Rock to the Greenbrier River, from the bleachers to your living room, iPlay goes where you do. Safe, simple, and always West Virginia proud. Play anywhere, anytime. Download iPlay today. iPlay, the fun, secure way to play, wherever life takes you. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
The best selection of WVU apparel is at Daniel's Men's Store. Exclusive designs you won't find anywhere else. Stylish, sophisticated, and unmistakably mountaineer. Shop in store or online at danielsofmorgantown.com.
Of course, the LVA was brought into my life because I had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then before I entered into congestive heart failure.
Where he was in the course, we really had to go towards an LVAD.
At that point, I was committed. At that point, I wanted to get better, and I wanted to see what this machine was going to do for me.
With this therapy, he's thriving, doing well. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
I kid my friend who just texted me, by the way, and said, no blanking cheese. You don't want him there because
not everyone's going to have cheese.
He's going to go up to everybody there and start turning over their carts. You are illegitimate.
Midday on Metro News Television.
Couple of texts here before the top of the hour. Chris Beam, FirstEnergy. Mon Power going to be joining us at 11:06. A texter says, you all don't care about Fauci invoking the Fifth Amendment. Care to explain why your esteemed sex abuser was cool to do it? So much so that you ran the polls to vote for him after he staged an assault on the Capitol, says the texter. As I recall, Mr. President took the Fifth 115 times in a trial in which he lost badly in New York. Just a friendly reminder. Because the Senate is trying to catch him in what they would consider a falsehood. He doesn't have immunity for that lying to the Senate. TJ is a health professional. Dr. Fauci is my hero. More people did not die because of his expertise, says the texter. So you so totally know what I'm saying, no doubt.
I never do.
I can't read them all. I read them all. Some make it on the air. Some don't. I can't. It's
That's a good one, though. That's a good one, I'll say.
Yeah. It's been a first hour. We got another hour of the show coming up. We'll talk about the proposed natural gas-fired power plant in Monongalia County with Chris Beam of FirstEnergy. Also, a lot of the focus, of course, has been on Upshur and Lewis counties, but a small town in Ritchie County was also hit hard by last week's flooding. Got some updates to tell you about there. This is Talkline on Metro News. For 40 years, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Solango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Welcome into a Wednesday. We have a much quieter forecast for a few days here, but some subtle things to be mindful of. Low clouds and that valley fog may still drop visibility and impact your morning drive. We have much lower humidity with the northwest breeze, and some of the higher elevation spots, northwest breeze interacting with some of the mountainous terrain. There is technically for the next 2 days some isolated shower or some brief general thunderstorm potential that is possible. Again, locally there with a northwest wind flow setup will be favored, much more likely for showers around Sunday. So until then, high pressure, and a lot of us to most of us will be dry here for some consecutive days. Fly saver forecast, it starts at home. New York City, high of 79. Areas including potentially New York City yet, and other areas of the Northeast and New England, watching for some higher risks of flash flooding out there with some slow-moving thunderstorms to the northeast. Our weather, we have mostly high pressure and a quieter pattern. To the north, likely dry, morning fog, then a mix of sun and clouds, highs up mid-70s to low 80s, overnight in the 50s with some patchy fog, a light to moderate northwest breeze, and a low chance of a brief isolated shower. Eastern Panhandle, highs near 80 or so. Again, some of the higher terrain, can't rule out a chance of a light to moderate shower and a brief isolated thunderstorm for the next 2 days. Lows 50s and 60s tonight. Across our northern and central areas, again with that northwest wind flow setup, higher terrain spots, low chance of a shower or a brief weak thunderstorm for the next 2 days. For our southern areas, likely dry here except for some of the higher terrain spots. To the west, Huntington, you had your flash flood warning yesterday. Today, sunny. High of 83. Charleston and Morgantown for the next 7 days. Saturday night and Sunday were likely showers and storms here. Dry for the most part until then.
This is Ben Solango with Solango Law. Solango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Solango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Solango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at solangolaw.com.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Second hour of Metro News Talkline. We're in the Encova Insurance Studios. You are listening in on one of our great radio affiliates across the state of West Virginia, or watching in on the Metro News TV app, Facebook Live, and YouTube. Gang's all here. Dave in Morgantown, TJ in Charleston, Ethan Collins, our audio producer, and Jake Link handles the video stream this morning. 800-765-TALK is the phone number, 800-765-8255. You can text the show, 304-TALK, 304-825-5304. Those are the two numbers to be part of the program. Coming up a little bit later, Jared Halpern, Fox News Radio, will stop by. We'll get an update from Washington, D.C., the latest on strikes against Iran. The president had some choice words to describe what he plans to do next. We'll get into that. Also, a little bit later on this morning, Amelia Courts with the Education Alliance is going to join us. They had an event last night. We'll get some details from her a little bit later this hour. TJ Meadows is in the Encova Insurance Studios down in Charleston. Once again, say good morning to my partner in the Adirondack chair business, TJ Meadows. Morning,
Very
sir.
successful. Morning, sir. Very successful business, I might add. I had a chance to watch a little bit of the testimony during the break from the Fauci hearing, I guess you would call it.
Mm-hmm.
He had an opening statement. I thought it was interesting. He called out Rand Paul, who is the chairman of the committee, and said that Paul's only reason, I'm paraphrasing, for having him there was so that he might say something, might slip up and say something that Paul could use to vindicate himself and also see Fauci behind bars. He did say that in an opening statement. He was later asked the color of the carpet in the hearing room, and he denied under his Fifth Amendment rights to answer the question.
So that's happening in D.C. this morning. We'll check in Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern. He covers everything involving the White House. We'll check in with him 15 minutes from now. As you well know out there, FirstEnergy is proposing a natural gas-fired power plant, part of a project at the Fort Martin Power Station in Monongalia County. The State Public Service Commission recently held both a public hearing and an evidentiary hearing regarding that project. Joining us on Metro News Talkline this morning to discuss it further is Chris Beam, president of West Virginia and Maryland for FirstEnergy. Chris, good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Dave. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate you being here. Why is this project, A, a priority, and B, a necessary project for electric generation here in West Virginia?
Yeah, so for us, the priority is pretty clear. We have a growing load that we need to serve. Our existing assets today will not meet that load, and so we have to add new generation assets to our portfolio to be able to serve our future customers that are coming online.
Chris, there was criticism during the hearing, of which you spent, I think, almost a day on this stand, that a lot of this load is data center load that may or may not come online, and that could present a risk to ratepayers. What would you say to your customers who are listening today who might have same concerns?
Yeah, very good question, TJ. And so what we've done is we've set this up where the customer that will take service from this new asset, the contract that will be in place that we're currently negotiating today, has significant consumer protections in it. And the term that we like to use in the business is ring fencing the customer base. But all that really means is that customer will take on all the costs associated with the asset that serves them. So if it's a 100 megawatt customer and it's a 100 megawatt plant, they'll pay for the entire plant. There's also a surcharge that we were asking for in the filing, and that would be where if the PSC would approve the project as requested, we would start collecting a surcharge from the existing customer base. Once the contract is signed with the customer, they will come back and reimburse the existing customer base for anything they paid towards that surcharge, and then they'll pay that surcharge going forward and either remove it totally from the customer base if it covers it all, or then the next customer will pick up the next piece and then, of course, pay off the surcharge. And the existing customers either won't pay it going forward, or if they have made a payment towards that surcharge, they will receive a credit back through their bill from the data center customer.
Talking to Chris Beam, he is president of West Virginia and Maryland for FirstEnergy. And pardon my naivete in this question, if there is a major customer, data center, for instance, that would be under contract, do they get the power directly, or is this plant meant to service the grid with PJM?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So the way we do it in FirstEnergy is we participate in the RPM market. So we would sell all of our generation in the PJM just like we do today, and then we buy back what we need to serve our customer base on a daily basis. That's done every day. This would be done the same way. And if we would not build this plant to cover this need of this new customer, we would have to basically take the risk of the market to buy it, which you cannot predict the cost of that. And then the second piece that goes with it is PJM, who's the regional provider of transmission and generation services to this 13-state area that we're in. PJM, they're running short on generation, and so relying on them to buy it from them is not a good proposition for anyone. And so if we build the generation, we can guarantee price, we can guarantee delivery, and can guarantee service to the customer under that scenario.
Chris, there's been much debate regarding this new plant that will be a natural gas-fired plant. There's been concern from the coal industry that this may somehow displace a coal unit. There's been concern that even this new plant would be more economical if FirstEnergy had went with coal as opposed to natural gas. Can you defend why FirstEnergy has chosen natural gas for this particular project in moving forward?
Yeah, so one of the things that's a requirement in West Virginia is you have to do what's called an integrated resource plan. And that plan looks out 10 years into the future for the information that you know today. So those plans are based on a lot of forecasts and a lot of assumptions. But it kind of looks out 10 years and says, what's your load going to be? And then how do you propose to serve that load? And one of the requirements we have to do as a utility is prove that the cost of the new generation that we have to add is the least cost for the customer. We've done that in the IRP. The IRP made us look at solar paired with batteries, wind paired with batteries, new gas, small modular nuclear reactors. So we looked at a whole host of technologies to serve the customer, ran it through an economic model on what the projected costs are going to be for the asset and for the fuel to fuel them. and then basically bring that all down to what's called a levelized cost energy. And all that is a common way to evaluate different technologies over the time frame. And so that levelized cost energy basically says that this gas plant that we're proposing to build over the 30-year duration of its life is the cheapest next megawatt for the customer base for us to provide.
Chris Beam is joining us. He's president of West Virginia and Maryland for FirstEnergy. Chris, is this plant meant to eventually be a replacement for Fort Martin or Harrison Power Station?
No, it is not. We've been very clear that this is a plant in addition to the assets we currently have, which would be Fort Martin and Harrison. We have new load coming on. Fort Martin and Harrison cannot meet that need, so we still need Fort Martin and Harrison running. We're under testimony and oath saying that. This plant is an addition to, so this plant will run along with Fort Martin and Harrison. They'll all run.
Well, just to crystallize that a little bit in a common way, everybody I talk to in the industry, and I think you would share this viewpoint, is there is explosive demand, and nobody knows just how large it's going to be, but I think everybody agrees that it's going to keep expanding. You mentioned that PJM is capacity short, meaning we don't have enough power plants to meet that projected demand. It just seems logical, common sense to me that in a time when you can't meet demand, the last thing you would do is close down any existing plant, because that would just put you deeper into the hole, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. So remember, we still have to meet the needs of our customers. So if I build this is a proposed 1,200 megawatt plant. If I build that plant, in all intents and purposes, I have really 5 customers kind of lined up right now that takes more output than this plant will provide. And so then the question is, do you have to build another one? And we're evaluating that currently today. But if I build this plant and then take away a plant, now I have to build a replacement for the plant I just took away. And so it just doesn't make sense to look at it from that perspective. We don't see it working that way. We see those facilities staying running and operational, and they're good assets for our customers. They benefit our customers, and they protect our customers from the volatility of the market. So they're very good assets.
Chris, what would the scenario look like if PJM cannot meet the demand? Facilities like this are not built. Demand is too great than the supply that's available. What does that scenario look like if that were to play out?
Yeah, so that would not be a good scenario for anyone. But I think what would happen, PJM has a thing called demand response, where they can call on certain people to minimize the amount of electricity they use. That would kind of be step one. So they would call on those folks to basically lessen their need. And then step 2 is if they can't get to where they need to protect the system, they will start asking the utilities to systematically start doing rolling brownouts, or basically shutting people off for certain durations of time as they get to keep the system stable. So that is not a position any of us ever want to be in. And that is not good for the economy to ever be in that position.
Chris Beam joins us, president of West Virginia, Maryland, for FirstEnergy. Chris, I want to transition to a different but related, I think, topic. As you well know, House Bill 2014, what we commonly call in West Virginia the microgrid bill that was passed a couple of sessions back, it had a provision in that bill that the legislature would direct the Public Service Commission to promulgate legislative rules pertaining to power plant capacity in West Virginia. The PSC, per its directive, has put out a proposed rule for public comment, and it's only about 9 pages, but there's some language in there I think that is a bit concerning, and I want to read it, so bear with me. It says the utilities are expected to take advantage of PJM Manual 11, which allows self-scheduling rather than allowing PJM to accept or reject their output into the day-ahead market. If you're living out in Schenectady somewhere, that doesn't sound all that bad. But for someone that understands the industry as you do, what is that saying, and what is the risk here, if any at all, to the customer?
Yeah, so normally the way it works today is the units that we have, Fort Martin and Harrison, or in really any unit that generates into PJM operates on what's called an economic dispatch. And so all that really means is the least cost to dispatch into the market gets picked up first. And then what they do is they match the generation with the load. And so they'll continue to pick up generation as it gets more expensive once they get to where they meet the load, and then they won't pick up any more after that. So they've They've identified the need for the day. They've identified the generation to support it, so they're good. And so that is called economic dispatch, and that's how it's done. And as you work through that generation stack, work your way down, it gets more expensive per megawatt for that generation. The manual dispatch that's referenced in here would be you would say, okay, forget about the economic dispatch. I'm going to force my unit in on a daily basis. And basically what that means is, so if my dispatch cost, and I'll just make things simple here, is $50, and I'm forcing it in the unit and the market's clearing at $40, there's a $10 delta in that megawatt. And that $10 delta would be assumed by the customers of FirstEnergy because we're the ones doing that, the self-scheduling. So another way to say it is it would cost you more money at certain times to self-schedule versus allowing economic dispatch to pick up.
He's Chris Beam. He is president of West Virginia and Maryland FirstEnergy. Chris, we always appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us this morning.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We'll check in with Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern in Washington, D.C. at the White House when we come back.
Approach your retirement with confidence. With over 150 years of combined experience, the advisors of the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group provide advice and wealth management strategies to individuals, families, small businesses, professional offices, and institutions. With the Stike team, you'll have access to an advising team with extensive resources, a client-first mindset, and a passion for helping transform the lives of those we serve. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike today and join the team that's dedicated to your success.
They say you can't take the lottery with you. But now you can play anywhere, anytime with iPlay, the West Virginia Lottery's official app. From Cooper's Rock to the Greenbrier River, from the bleachers to your living room, iPlay goes where you do. Safe, simple, and always West Virginia proud. Play anywhere, anytime. Download iPlay today. iPlay, the fun, secure way to play, wherever life takes you. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then I entered into congestive heart failure.
We really had to go towards an LVAD. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
Need a truck that's ready for work, weekends, and everything in between? Right now at Dan Cava GMC, get up to $10,000 off select new GMC Sierra 1500, or save up to $4,000 off all new GMC Canyon Elevations, offering bold styles, advanced technology, and everyday practicality. Come explore our all-new GMC Yukons, built for busy families and big adventures. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
At Daniel's Men's Store, exceptional style begins with a curated selection and finishes with a flawless fit. When it's time to buy a suit, Daniel's is here to make sure yours is one of a kind. Discover tailored suits you'll only find in store at Daniel's.
We'll get to your text coming up. 304-TALK, 304-800-765-8255. 800-765-TALK is the phone number. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern joins us from the White House this morning. Jared, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Can you give me a direct quote on what the president said he was going to do to Iran after the attempted surprise attack?
Not without getting the approval from Brendan Carr first, the FCC chair.
I got the 8-second delay
I don't
on.
want to get you guys fine there in West Virginia, but it was a direct answer to my colleague Trey Yinks. And listen, I think it does speak to the challenge here that the president has kind of had. Every time there has been some sort of ceasefire, even if it's just temporary, like we've seen the last 3-4 days, right, where the president says, listen, I think they're talking, we've brought them back to the table. Something like this occurs. And last night there was a ballistic missile attack targeting U.S. troops in Jordan. The president said that the U.S. was able to intercept all of the incoming and defeat the threat. But this is going to ratchet up attacks. I mean, the president made that very clear. He said that we will, blow them up. That's a clean enough way to say it, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I think the question now becomes, what's the strategy? Because the president has long been threatening to escalate attacks, to finish the job, as he had said, if a nuclear agreement is not reached. I asked him on Air Force One on Monday kind of about his level of patience. I said, are you losing patience with Iran? And he said, no, we're in no hurry. We have all the time in the world. We control the strait. We've taken out their shoreline. But then you see an attempt like this, and obviously I think that's going to weigh on the president's decision-making for how much time he allows these negotiations to continue moving forward. Keep in mind as well, President Trump yesterday met with Bibi Netanyahu. The Israelis have been pressing to take out at least some of these additional facilities. We hear a lot about Pickaxe Mountain. It is near the Natanz nuclear facility. It is a very fortified facility where Israel and other intelligence assets believe that these centrifuges are being held. So that would be a sign, certainly, if you see airstrikes carried out there, that the president is moving forward on these threats to escalate to force Iran back to the table.
Meanwhile, the Senate going to vote on the Iran War Powers Act this afternoon. I think Trump is scheduled to speak on the Iran war this afternoon. How does all of the latest developments in the last 24 hours, Jared, how does that change the political calculus as far as Congress is concerned?
I think the bigger question for Congress is going to be on the spending request. Recall that there is a major supplemental spending request that the president has put forward, that the Pentagon has put forward, in addition to a $1.5 trillion defense budget, which is a record-setting amount. They are also asking for tens of billions of additional dollars for Iran, talking about the need to make sure that armaments get replenished, munitions get replenished. The president has said this is not a munition shortage, but preparing to make sure that the U.S. is always in a ready state. But, when you start talking about money now being spent, that's the role really that Congress can have. The war powers resolutions can come and go. They are unlikely to make much headway simply because the president can veto them. Most presidents, I think every president, has believed that the War Powers Act is unconstitutional anyway. There are a lot of different interpretations about how to meet that. But Congress still controls the purse strings. And so as you see that process moving forward, I think that if you start to see frustration from Congress will be where it manifests itself.
Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern joins us from the White House. Busy day yesterday, Jared, the president meeting with both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. How did those meetings go? What were the takeaways?
We didn't get a lot out of them. Both of those world leaders were in town for the funeral of Lindsey Graham. Of course, Lindsey Graham, a strong supporter of both Israel and Ukraine, and in many ways has been viewed as sort of an influence on President Trump's actions in both of those conflicts. And so both leaders came separately to meet with President Trump. The president said both of those meetings went very well. The White House says that they were very productive. We didn't get much more out of that. We know from the Zelensky side that they talked about the licensing of Patriot missile batteries. One thing that Zelensky has been pressing for is the ability not just to buy American technology on air defense systems, but the ability to kind of produce them in-house as the infrastructure and the manufacturing wing of Ukraine's defense has really picked up over the last couple of years. So we understand that there was some headway made there, and we understand that with the Israeli side, there was a lot of talk about Iran, some intelligence sharing. Obviously, Benjamin Netanyahu has been making the case that, Iran, this job needs to be finished, and has not always seen eye to eye on kind of the way forward here with President Trump.
Very quickly, any reaction from the White House this morning on Fauci taking the fifth?
No, I would expect we'll see something from the president. He put out a long Truth Social this morning that was more about kind of why he fell out of favor with Fauci during the pandemic in the first term, not really a lot on this hearing. But you're right, this hearing just wrapped up. Fauci did not answer questions from the Senate panel. President Trump has a public event here this afternoon. I will be in the room. I am sure the question will be asked, and I am sure the president will give us his unvarnished takeaway from this hearing.
Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern. Jared, always appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Coming up, Chris Lawrence has a story. As much of the attention the last week has been focused on Lewis and Upshur counties following last week's storms and floods, a small town in Ritchie County got battered by flooding in last week's storms. We'll bring you details of that story coming up. Also, a little bit later on, Amelia Courts from the Education Alliance will join us. They had an event last night. We'll get you details on what was going on. 800-765-TALK is the phone number. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line. We will get to your text coming up in just a bit. This is Talkline on Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia. It's 11:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Solango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Welcome into a Wednesday. We have a much quieter forecast for a few days here, but some subtle things to be mindful of. Low clouds and that valley fog may still drop visibility and impact your morning drive. We have much lower humidity with the northwest breeze and some of the higher elevation spots, northwest breeze interacting with some of the mountainous terrain. There is technically for the next 2 days some isolated shower or some brief general thunderstorm potential that is possible. Again, locally there with a northwest wind flow setup will be favored, much more likely for showers around Sunday. So until then, high pressure and a lot of us to most of us will be dry here for some consecutive days. Fly Saver forecast, it starts at home. New York City, high of 79. Areas including potentially New York City yet and other areas of the Northeast and New England, watching for some higher risks of flash flooding out there with some slow-moving thunderstorms to the northeast. Our weather, we have mostly high pressure and a quieter pattern. To the north, likely dry, morning fog, then a mix of sun and clouds, highs up mid-70s to low 80s, overnight in the 50s with some patchy fog. Light to moderate northwest breeze and a low chance of a brief isolated shower. Eastern Panhandle, highs near 80 or so. Again, some of the higher terrain, can't rule out a chance of a light to moderate shower and a brief isolated thunderstorm for the next 2 days. Lows 50s and 60s tonight. Across our northern and central areas, again with that northwest wind flow setup, higher terrain spots, low chance of a shower or a brief weak thunderstorm for the next 2 days. For our southern areas, likely dry here except for some of the higher terrain spots. To the west, Huntington, you had your flash flood warning yesterday. Today, sunny. High of 83. Charleston and Morgantown for the next 7 days. Saturday night and Sunday were likely showers and storms here. Dry for the most part until then.
This is Ben Solango with Solango Law. Solango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Solango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Solango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at solangolaw.com.
Hey, I take offense to that.
Why would you do that? Because on midday, the last segment, the first thing I hear when those mics go on is you just coughing, and I'm just like, this guy.
You don't appreciate me giving that show a little ratings boost at the end, a little boom boom?
You coughing directly onto these microphones? No, I don't want it.
I don't know where this came from.
Everybody.
I'm in another room, guys.
Hey,
I don't know.
everybody.
Hey, Coop,
I'm just
what's up?
watching this.
Hotline on Metro News Television.
That Senate hearing with Anthony Fauci just wrapped up there as we were talking to Jared Halpern, Fox News. They've had to have some poor intern or production assistant literally counting. Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment 111 times. What'd you do at work today, son? I counted how many times Anthony Fauci invoked the Fifth Amendment, Dad. I'm sure that Northwestern journalism degree coming in handy right now for somebody.
Yeah, I wonder, sometimes I'll usher at church and they want you to count the people and they'll give you one of those little clickers.
Yeah.
wonder if they got a little clicker. Oh, click, click. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Don't want to lose count in your head. Oh, was I on 51 or 52? Oh, goodness. You got to have the clicker.
Would a Gen Zer, would they know how to use that?
Oh, they have them online. You get the app.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I've started doing that too. I'm like, no, I don't need one. I just use my app.
You got to go old school, the old school clicker. Then when you get to, 9999 and it rolls back over to 0, it's very satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Chris Lawrence has a story over at the website, WVMetroNews.com this morning. A lot of the attention, and rightfully so, has been focused on flood recovery efforts in Buchanan, Weston, Upshur, and Lewis counties. Of course, we've talked about the tornadoes that touched down over in Pleasants County as well. However, almost every building in a tiny community in Ritchie County was impacted by the record rainfall. The community of Auburn, a local creek running through town, came out of its banks and sent water straight down Main Street. Chris talked with Ritchie County Commissioner Randall Riggs, who says the tornado damage didn't hit a lot of personal property.
Damaged, a lot of trees uprooted, and the OEM folks from the state and FEMA was with us, and there was one house that a pretty good sized tree got into the house and landed across the roof of the house.
But it was flooding in the community of Auburn where a lot of folks were displaced.
There's probably 2 that are not in their homes right now that are living either in campers or with other family members right now.
What you didn't hear him say was there's probably 20 to 30 people who have been displaced by their homes. Their hamster fell off the wheel. He says it's just neighbors helping neighbors in the small community.
They got a community building set up. People's been bringing in all kind of donations as far as cleaning products, stuff like that for them to be using. And some of the ladies over there has been there cooking food for the families and for the kids and stuff that are there in Auburn.
FEMA inspectors have taken a look at the damage. Governor Morrissey has included Ritchie County on his formal request to the White House for an expedited disaster declaration. Riggs says he's not sure if all the homes can be repaired there.
They're doing the best that they can, but just a lot of damage, and I'm sure that there's probably going to be some of them homes that will not be livable again, I'm sure.
He says it was just unavoidable. The creek swelled right up out of its banks and went right down Main Street in Auburn.
It started right at the one end of Auburn, and it went right down to the other end of Auburn. I mean, just that stretch, and then it turned and followed the creek. And then we stopped by 3 or 4 other residences outside of Auburn, and they got hit pretty bad also.
Fortunately, nobody was injured in the weather. The cleanup there continues in the small community of Auburn. That is in Ritchie County. After Tuesday's flooding. By the way, I want to remind you, we have the link over at the website, top of the homepage at WVMetroNews.com. You can click the link, and that will take you to the American Red Cross, where you can make a monetary donation to help the disaster assistance with the flooding in, Ritchie County. Also, of course, Upshur and Lewis counties, disaster assistance across the state from those storms last week. Up to $25,000 is going to be matched by our friends at Huntington Bank. Of course, our friends at Titan Roofing took down half a dozen truckloads have been of donated items has been taken to Upshur and Lewis counties for distribution there. We had those drives the last week. So if you want to help out, you can head up to WVMetroNews.com, top of the homepage, click the link, and we will be accepting monetary donations for a few more days now to help out those folks impacted by last week's storms.
Terrible. You have to wonder if that little town, Dave, it's like half the town. You have to wonder if it's even large enough to survive now.
Yeah, I think it's only 80 to 100 people who live in Auburn proper there. It's a tiny little community there in very rural Ritchie County. But yeah, the flooding there. And we didn't even know about it until, Chris was reaching out there in Ritchie County yesterday. So keep them in mind. Keep the folks down in Upshur County in mind as cleanup efforts continue there. Mike Nolting was on the ground yesterday, and he's got a story posted up. I was amazed. Mike talked to and the woman's name escapes me. She owns a restaurant. Her restaurant was on a little bit higher ground, wasn't impacted by the flooding. But that's one of the things folks are looking for something to eat, TJ, whether it be food trucks. I know Operation Barbecue is there trying to help out. And, again, it makes you proud to be West Virginia. When Jeff Jenkins comes home with a pizza, because that's how much folks are looking out for each other. Mike said he was offered barbecue yesterday and politely turned it down. Somebody else probably needs it a lot more than him, he told me. People are looking out for each other, and that makes you proud to be a West Virginian in this type of situation. That's all.
Well, I think we've learned that we have to as well. I mean, not discounting the process for federal aid. And, it should take time. It's not an endless pocketbook, so they have to go through the protocols and submit to Washington, and the feds have to review it. But I think we've learned time and time again that we have to depend on ourselves, and we have to learn how to do these things and rebuild towns and rebuild communities and build new roads and help people out until we can get back to whatever the new normal is, because it's us. It's just us.
We've got the link at the website, top of the page. If you want to make a monetary donation to help those impacted by the floods, go to wvmetronews.com. Huntington Bank is going to match all donations up to $25,000 for those impacted by the flood. All right, coming up next, going to tell you about the Education Alliance hosting its annual summit last night in Charleston. Joining us, we'll talk to Amelia Courts, find out what was going on. We'll do that right after this, plus your text at 304-TALK-304. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
For over 30 years, High Technology Foundation has been committed to building a stronger West Virginia. Our mission, economic diversification. By fostering innovation and supporting tech initiatives, we pave the way for a brighter future. From cutting-edge research to tech-driven solutions, we're transforming the landscape. Join us in creating opportunities and driving progress. Let's build a diverse economy together. Visit WVHTF.org. High Technology Foundation, shaping West Virginia's future.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
The best selection of WVU apparel is at Daniel's Men's Store. Exclusive designs you won't find anywhere else. Stylish, sophisticated, and unmistakably mountaineer. Shop in store or online at danielsofmorgantown.com.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the road.
Of course, the OVA was brought into my life because I had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then I entered into congestive heart failure.
Where he was in the course, we really had to go towards an LVAD.
At that point, I was committed. At that point, I wanted to get better, and I wanted to see what this machine was going to do for me.
With this therapy, he's thriving, doing well. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
We're going to do public math, so it's 31 divided by 4.
Yeah, just under 8 per win.
Just mark it down.
Put Tony and I down for 8, Coach Hunter. Put us on the prediction show for 8. We already got it. There's the math. Just go.
Sportsline on Metro News Television.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
We'll get to your text coming up in just a moment. CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet is probably right at your front door. Now is the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust. Fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet. .net connects, protects, and perfects. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line. You can give us a call at 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. The Education Alliance held its 2026 Education Summit yesterday evening in Charleston, focusing on the theme, Middle Matters, building pathways to possibilities. Amelia Courts is the president and CEO of the Education Alliance. She joins us on Metro News Talkline this morning. Amelia, good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Glad you could take some time to join us. So what was the goal of last night's summit?
Absolutely. So we had just a fantastic evening summit. Nearly 300 people attended. And what's really fantastic is we had a great mix of educators, business leaders, and community members all coming together talking about how we can strengthen support for middle school learning and specifically how we can build school business partnerships that help students experience real-world learning, do some career exploration so that we can, as the theme talks about, build pathways to possibilities.
I think you're spot on with the timing. Kids are starting to think about this in middle school, and a lot of them don't know what they don't know. I mean, mom and dad, doctor, teacher, lawyer, those seem to be the paths. What does the machinery need to look like? I don't think anybody would disagree that finding children mentors and helping them explore paths so they're out there, discover what they're all about. What does that machinery need to look like, though, to make that a reality?
Absolutely. So one of the fun things that I got to participate in last night was an industry panel. And so we had representatives from ServiceWire, which is a advanced manufacturing facility here in the Kanawha Valley. We also had Gat Creek Furniture up in the Eastern Panhandle, their CEO, Gat Caperton, Brian Abraham from AEP, the new president there, and then State Superintendent Blatt. And one of the things that they shared was exactly what you're talking about. What do these successful partnerships look like? And the advice that I took away that I loved is that as students enter this middle school age, they're starting to think about, who am I and what do I want to become? So first of all, we need to give students room to explore. Gat Caperton talked about how kids need to learn it's okay to fail. You might try out a career that you think you're really interested in and do some exploration and just figure out, that's not really for me. But what better time to learn that than in middle school, right? So building out partnerships and experiences that give students room to explore, room to fail and overcome that. And then also a line of sight to opportunity. As you said, students, we hear from employers that they're looking for quality workforce, right? And then on the other side, we hear students thinking they have to leave West Virginia to find a good job. So making that connection early in middle school so students understand that they can have a great job here in West Virginia. What does that job look like? Making that as crystal clear for them as possible, I think, is really part of the benefit of those partnerships.
Talking to Amelia Courts, President and CEO of the Education Alliance. They held their annual summit last night in Charleston. Did folks leave the summit with some actionable items that they can take back to the classroom, take back home, or to the job force?
They certainly did. So one of those actionable items, we actually recognize we have a partnership with Hope Gas called Hope for the Future School Business Partnership of the Year Award. And so we recognize Skyview Elementary, and they were selected among 80 applicants that we had this past year as the state winner of those exemplifying school business partnerships. So one of the action items that they can do is to nominate their school. In the coming year, we'll be taking new applications and recognizing more schools. And then another action item is really this just call to get involved. You mentioned mentoring. Skyview also talked about Read Aloud. Superintendent Blatt talked about field trips, just little opportunities that are not heavy lifts for businesses, opening their doors to invite students, invite schools to come in, have a field trip and see what's happening in their community, in their businesses. I think those were all very strong action items that we left with yesterday.
Is that something that's went by the wayside, the field trips? I remember, going to the power plant as a kid and different things like that. Is that not happening nowadays?
I am so glad that you brought that up because you're exactly right. The field trips that some of us experienced as children are the things that we remember. I mean, those are some of the most important and really, really critical memories that we have from childhood. And they did sort of go by the wayside. I think we had, I don't know if it was, funding for buses or also just the maybe over focus on testing, not being out of the classroom. But thankfully, that is starting to change. As I mentioned, Superintendent Blatt specifically said, field trips. And so I think you're seeing at the state and the county level and even the school level, people are realizing we need, great schools need great partners. And so getting students out of the classroom, expanding the walls of the classroom, right? Our definition of learning can go beyond the four walls, and teachers certainly value that opportunity to meet with business leaders and have their students interact and get support for the subject matter that they're teaching. So absolutely, I think that is a positive change that we're seeing.
Amelia Courts, President and CEO of the Education Alliance. They held their annual summit last night. The Middle Matters was the theme. Amelia, we appreciate the time this morning, and take care and good luck.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We'll get to your text next. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. High-speed fiber internet is probably at your front door, and now's the time to connect. Your tax dollars helped expand broadband access across West Virginia, and CityNet makes it real. More rural communities in West Virginia can finally get the high-speed internet they deserve. With free equipment, free installation, no contract, and local support you can trust. So whether you're streaming, working, gaming, or running your business, CityNet delivers the speed and reliability you need. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
It's good to have options for your family or employees. Rooted in your community since 1979, the health plan is your trusted partner. Get flexible coverage, exceptional support, and competitive rates.
The health plan, we are here for you.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I had a severe heart attack in November of 2024. And then I entered into congestive heart failure.
We really had to go towards an LVAD. And not only is he living, he's thriving.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
At Daniel's Men's Store, exceptional style begins with a curated selection and finishes with a flawless fit. When it's time to buy a suit, Daniel's is here to make sure yours is one of a kind. Discover tailored suits you'll only find in-store at Daniel's.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world!
Jackpots are growing in West Virginia. Jackpots are on the rise every week. Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in-store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. The Powerball jackpot is $663 million. Mega Millions jackpot is $50 million. So go ahead, play today. I promised you text messages. Let's get to those. Texter says, I love how everyone says he must be guilty and yet call Henry Hill a rat for testifying against Jimmy and Paulie in Goodfellas. Trump invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination during a deposition before lawyers from New York Attorney General Letitia James' office in its probe into his organization's business practices. And he was the president when Fauci made his recommendation to start the COVID and at the start of COVID in 2020. 450 times, says the texter. This issue is central office staff has increased while enrollment and teaching positions have declined. The numbers back that up, not to mention 55 superintendents when about 10 to 15 would suffice if done correctly. Tell him at this point in time is no longer allowed on radio, says the texter. Tell you what, make a list, Jake. I do this and I hear it and I try to stop myself. I got some verbal crutches. I digress is one that gets pointed out to me a lot. Right? Have you noticed people saying that a lot as they try to explain a situation? They'll say, see,
it's a check. They want to know that you're picking up what they're putting down. I mean, I try not to focus too much on that stuff.
I try to eliminate the things that annoy me about other people from the things that I do. Does that make sense?
No, sure it does. But
right?
If it helps, I didn't catch. Very nice. I didn't catch what you're talking about, what the texter's talking about.
I did not either, but
was it even you?
I don't know. Was it
Was it
one
me?
of us?
Was it one of the guests? I don't know.
I bet it was Ethan. That's probably who it was.
Ethan.
Uriah's argument has one flaw. A CEO is often paid by performance incentives. There's no accountability for the product of education. Until the state takes control, the counties are not holding their superintendents accountable. Couple of them here. Gentlemen, the education systems are adding administrators and not seeing results. These administrative positions are not adding value. My wife's a teacher, and I can't believe some positions. The point of educational system is to educate, and the state education system is generally failing in the most important task. You should not let someone from the state bureaucracy justify the state bureaucracy. Self-licking ice cream cone, says the texter.
What flavor?
Neapolitan.
Good.
Get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Public school quality rankings often put West Virginia around 44th. Most educated rankings frequently rank at 50th. Neighbors generally rank higher. Virginia and Maryland are typically top 10 or top 15 overall. Pennsylvania is mid to upper tier. Ohio, Kentucky, mid tier or lower, but usually above West Virginia, says the texter. Can we have a little grace for everyone who is trying to manage an unprecedented modern-day pandemic? Easy to criticize from the cheap seats, says the texter, talking about Fauci.
Fox reporting that Rand Paul says next week the Homeland Security Committee will hold a vote to certify Fauci in contempt of Congress, in contempt of the committee for taking the fifth. There you go.
Guys, Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not self-incriminate. My question, why does he need to do that since Biden gave him the decades-long blanket pardon on his last day in office? If he can't be prosecuted over COVID, I want to imprison over the evil Beagle pup torture chamber labs, says the texter. All right, texter, you get the final word of the day, even though I didn't understand the second half of it. Follow the news of the day at the website, wvmetronews.com. We'll talk AI tomorrow. This is Talkline on Metro News. For 40 years, the voice of West Virginia.